Welcome back. I'm here with Charles Goyette. He's the host of Ron Paul's America. He's also the author of the New York Times best-selling book, The Dollar Meltdown. Charles, welcome back to the program. Who benefits from the debt ceiling being raised?
Well, first of all, the crony classes benefit. I mean, the American people certainly don't benefit, but if you're a defense contractor, you know, you depend on deficit spending by the government. The government has to borrow money to spend money. If you are the money center banks in New York, for example, that get bailed out, or are primary dealers of the Treasury that sell Treasury debt, you benefit. It's primarily the crony classes that benefit, but then it's also the governing classes who have a vested interest in the growth of the state.
Now, what about the current shutdown? Could it lower the national debt at all?
It's not going to happen. And when they reach an agreement, we talked earlier about the government employees, for example, when an agreement is struck, usually there are provisions in there, for example, to give back pay to people that were furloughed and to make up for the make up for the paychecks that they missed. The government is not going to spend less money. I mean, we need to be very, very clear about that. Who are the leaders in Congress of a movement to really seriously cut government spending? In fact, in the current spending resolution issue, even Republicans are trying very hard to restore spending that was cut in the sequester a year ago. So spending doesn't get cut under the current regime and the current two wings of the governing party, the Republican wing and the Democratic wing.
Now, Charles, could this extreme debt destroy the economy?
Oh, sure. It's inevitable. I mean, look, if debt is too great to be paid, it will not be paid. So the American debt won't be paid. They of course have at their disposal a printing press. So they will pretend to comply with payments with money that is due, that promises have been made, by printing the money to make payments. But you get your Social Security check, you contributed to it for 40 years, you count on it in your retirement. You get your check, you go to the bank, you cash it, you go to the grocery store, and you can't buy the cat food. So they will nominally meet their obligations, but it will be with a currency that is so deeply depreciated, has been so badly inflated that the currency has no purchasing power.
So where's the resolution here? Obviously, we've deducted that they're not going to be cutting anything anytime soon, and you've already stated that the debt ceiling is going to be raised. Mm-hmm. The government isn't going to be shut down forever. What is the resolution here, and what effects will it have on the American people?
Yes, and I've written about this in a couple of books, and you mentioned the dollar meltdown. There is no state resolution. In other words, we are in an inclined plane. We are going over the edge of the precipice. No matter how much you warn people on shows like yours, Gary, that look, you're going around a bend at 80 miles an hour. We've looked around the bend and the bridge is out. You must slow down. You must take a detour. No matter how much you warn people, you're not going to change the system. We're on a perilous course that will be continued. So the only thing that can be done now is for individuals to begin to protect themselves. It's your primary duty to protect yourself and your family from a calamity that's baked into the cake already. If the government won't be restrained, if the government insists on behaving recklessly, and it does, then your only alternative is to seek to insulate yourself from the long-term problems of the dollar, for example, to protect yourself from the calamity that's being authored by the state. And so that's actually what I've written The Dollar Meltdown about, to show people how this can be done. And it's not our first currency crisis rodeo. The world's been through these things over and over again, and I describe some of the templates in the book.
All right, that was Charles Goyette. Charles, thanks for joining us on the program today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gary.
All right, he's the author of The Dollar Meltdown. Stay tuned to WHGT World News. We still have the rest of today's headlines. We've also got a full report on the weather coming up. We'll be right back.